All right, what's up, y'all? Let me switch. There we go. Switch gears. The title of today's discussions is Angels, Demons, and Archetypes of the Psyche. What are these energies really? We're going to talk about different aspects of consciousness and the benefit that they all bring, right? Because nothing is against you, nothing is trying to hurt you. All these things are really trying to help you out. So we are going to talk about angels, demons, what these actually represent from a conscious perspective, from a metaphysical perspective, because the kingdom is within you, the universe is within you. There's nothing out there. There's nothing running around out there. But we are going to talk about how all of these energies are meant to help you, but how they help you in different ways. All right, let me hit live on Instagram and we can get right into it. And this was really inspired because we were having a conversation yesterday. Someone kept asking about, religion. And I was trying to talk metaphysically, but they were trying to continue to talk literally. And it just wasn't eye to eye. But it kind of opened up my mind to, there's an opportunity to actually talk about this, right? So an opportunity to actually use this as a different part of our lecture. So the affirmation that's really going to hit for this is this one. I choose presence over possession. Okay, I choose presence over possession. No energy owns me unless I consent to forget who I am. No energy owns me unless I consent to forget who I am. All right, I reclaim my mind. I embody my soul. I guard my divinity with grace. This is what we're going to get into, okay? So, angels, demons, and archetypes of the psyche, what are these energies really? All right, so part one is the war within. Ephesians 6:12, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right, so scripture knew this. Mystics, shamans, sages, they all knew, right? Even scripture says the kingdom is within you. Right, as within, so without. We see all of these different perspectives that are telling you there's nothing out there, it's all within you. Yet we do want to constantly externalize things because it helps us to understand more. But then when we get too literally wrapped up into this, we can lose our sense of believing that everything is for us, right? When I think there's angels and demons outside of me, it's going to be very difficult for me to believe that a demon is against or it's for me. It's going to be very difficult for me to think if these external things are out there, one's good, one's evil, that the evil one is actually for me. It doesn't make sense from a practical perspective. That's why we always have to go deeper. All right, so the greatest war isn't out there, it's in here. Not a war of violence, but a war of vibration, a war of memory and meaning, a war of choosing which frequency we allow to form us. And what I think is going to be really interesting because we're going to talk about demons and angels and how they call you from a different perspective. One calls you to go inward. One calls you to rise in consciousness. We're going to get into that. All right, so let's define the characters on this inner stage. First is angels. What is an angel? So the word angel actually means what? It means messenger. All right, it means messenger. They carry divine will. What is divine will? They carry divine will. They transmit light. If you also think of the word angel, it's like an angle of light. It is simply one aspect of the infinite. Right? Think of source as a being of light. And so these angels are literally just fractals. You're not the fractal. You are all of source, pretending to be a fractal, right? Calling ourselves a fractal is a concession to how divine we really are. Angels, these different aspects of us, these messengers within us, they are there to transmit a certain angle or message of the divine. All right, so they carry divine will, they transmit light. In every tradition, they appear not just with wings, but with warnings. Hear ye, right? They show up with warnings, they show up with reminders, and they also show up with assignments, right? The angel showed up before the Virgin Mary. The angel showed up in all these different situations as warnings. They even showed up to Jesus as warnings, messengers, assignments, reminding you who you are, okay? So beyond religious images, angelic energy is a frequency. It is clarity when you are lost. It is courage when you want to collapse. It is the higher self stepping in and whispering, this is who you are, walk in it. Now, everything is within us. And let's talk about angels in two specific ways. One way, one of the goddesses that came on here and they were talking about how they saw an image of an angel that helped them through a time. Right? It was something that stood out from their conversation when they came on live with me. All right. And sometimes, everything is within you, but we can look outside and we can see signs. What are these? These are inner parts of you. These are aspects of your consciousness giving you a reminder that you're on the right path. Right? It might be reminding you of an assignment. It might give you a warning. It just puts something in your consciousness to help you, right? These are angels. Angels are there to help you. They bring messages, assignments, reminders of who you are. Huh? Demons. Going to demons now. So demon is a word that has been twisted. In ancient Greece, a daemon was a spirit guide. A demon, a spirit guide, right? We often talk about spirit guides, but did you understand that the original word for spirit guide is daemon, which actually got translated to demon? How? All right. So language changes and fear distorts. So in psychological terms, demons are unintegrated shadow energies. It's an unintegrated part of you. Right? That's why we call it a demon. It's cast out. You've cast this part out of you. Remember, the story of Scripture is a story of you. We talk about the great fall and Satan rebelling, being cast out of heaven, right? These are unintegrated shadow energies within you. A demon, you've cast it out of yourself. You don't invite it in with harmony anymore, right? That jealousy. You don't just accept and love that your jealousy is trying to give you a insight into what you really want. You cast it out. It's unintegrated. All right. So it could be unhealed trauma. It could be desire without direction. It could be rage without reconciliation. So they're not attacking you. They're asking you to face something. Everything is for you, right? This is the key thing that I always say. Everything is for you. Everything is for you. One more time. Everything is for you. Matter of fact, one more time. So it really sinks in. Everything is for you. So these things are not attacking you. They're asking you to face something. Every demon is a distorted need, a fractured part of you acting out because it wasn't seen, heard, or healed. Rebelling against you because it wasn't seen, heard, or healed. And instead of us loving it, most of the time we cast it out. We cast it out as the enemy when it's just another perfect part of who you really are. Right? So how else can these be made manifest? Addiction, obsession, self-sabotage, all symptoms of a deeper imbalance, a demon in disguise. Well, I got two commas right here, right? All symptoms of a deeper imbalance, a demon in disguise. All right, so now archetypes. Let's talk about archetypes. We love archetypes. We really based our humanity on archetypes, all right? So there are archetypes, right? The inner patterns, the characters in the play of your life. They live in every culture, every myth, every soul. Well, let's give some examples of archetypes, right? The hero, the orphan, the lover. I just love so deeply. The warrior, the combative person, right? The fool, the jokester, right? All of these archetypes that we embody throughout our journey here. Now, the divine child, the king, the sacred feminine, the wounded healer, these are all archetypes. They're just patterns, right? So we've taken certain aspects of ourselves, certain parts of certain demons, certain angels within ourselves, and we've integrated them, we've combined them, and we've made these archetypes out of them. And now we walk around with this collective programming saying, okay, this is who I am. We identify with who we are, or we identify with those aspects of us, not the wholeness of who we are, but we pick and choose things, right? So these are psychic blueprints. They are not to be worshiped, but witnessed. But oftentimes we can worship them. We talked about the 5 levels of reality creation yesterday and 2 days ago. If you haven't checked that out, that video is on YouTube. But one of those aspects of creation, the 3rd level, is the healer. It is I fix to be worthy. Right? It's someone that goes down the path of purely just trying to fix themselves, and they're in the constant hole of always trying to fix themselves, always putting their worthiness in the future. Right? Like basically, exiling their worthiness, a worthy version of them, until after they go down this path of therapy or healing or, emotional awareness training or reading books, etc. Right? Whatever the case may be. A lot of times we'll go down that path And we become so deeply ingrained in that path that we start identifying as somebody who is healing, somebody who is in therapy, somebody who is constantly trying to strive and get information, even on the manifesting path. Or you can be you can get so far on this path that you become someone who's just constantly seeking information on things on this path, right? These things are to be witnessed and not worshiped. You're always much bigger than whatever archetype that you're embodying right now. The hardworking entrepreneur, right? The independent woman, right? The spiritual man. You're always much bigger than these. These are simply archetypes, collections of your personalities, traits right now that you've embodied and you're walking forward with, right? So what they actually showed you is they show you which energy you are. I definitely missed the word right here. They show you which energy you are embodying. They also show you which energy is missing. This is why it's so important for us to observe ourselves, be the divine observer of our life. Happy Friday, happy Friday. Because when we become the divine observer of our life, we can start looking at these archetypes, start looking at these behavioral patterns that we're putting together and we're walking as, and we can say, okay, based on this, right? Based on this, where is it showing me my weaknesses in life? And where is it actually showing me my strengths? Right. Let me give a better example, okay? We can go through life and we can become so obsessed with our zodiac sign that becomes a true definition of who we are. We can create a mental prison of our zodiac sign. I'm not saying they're not real. Don't confuse what I'm saying, right? They're extremely valid, right? But what if, because you are infinite, because you are unlimited, because you are absolutely whole, and there's infinite versions of yourself within you. What if your zodiac sign, all of your nodes and where your house placements, what if all of these things are just giving you insight on certain items in your life that you can transcend? What if it was never meant to be a prison? What if the therapist telling you your avoidant or your attachment style was never meant to be a death sentence? It was never meant for you to carry that personality for the rest of your life? What if it was just meant to show you where you can transcend and how you can be better? Whenever we take any kind of archetype, any kind of personality, any kind of description of ourselves, and we decide this is the end all be all, this is who I am, I have to be like this because I'm this. Well, I am this way because of this. The moment we start doing that, we put ourselves in a box. You deny yourself the fullness of your soul. Your soul is absolutely infinite. Can't be held down with any of these descriptions. Can't be held down with any of these descriptions. We are all much more powerful, much more divine, much more whole, much more infinite than we could ever grasp with our human perspective. But we do tend to latch on to things, right? That's why this sentence is so important, is that your archetype, your psychic blueprint, your patterns are not to be worshipped, but witnessed. They show you which energy you are embodying and also which energy is missing. All right, so we talked about those three things, right? We talked about the angels, aspects of you. We talked about the demons, aspects of you, all within you, all there to help you. But when we externalize angels and demons, or we think one is good, one is bad, then it's very difficult for us to see that everything in life is for me. How can I believe everything is for me when there's these evil things out there running around? Well, it's cool. Let's reel that belief back in. The kingdom is within you. The universe is within you. Everything is within you. Everything is within you. All of these spiritual wars, when we talk about there's a spiritual war, this is not an external world. This is not an external world war. This is a war between you. This is a war in your consciousness, right? The demons within you are the parts of you, the unhealed parts of you that you have cast out. The same way that we talk about that story of Satan, the fall, being cast out of heaven. This is the way that we cast out certain personalities, certain traits, certain parts of us that we don't want to incorporate. We don't want to integrate. We don't want to look at it and see, okay, what is it calling me to do? And so then it rebels against you, and it continues to jump in your face and show you, no, I'm here. I'm part of you too. Love me too. It's just giving you more insight into who you are. All right. So where do these energies live? They don't live in the clouds. They don't live under the ground. they live in you. Your psyche is layered. Okay, your psyche is very layered. Let's talk about this and I don't like separation because, all right. So asterisk. Let me put an asterisk on this. I'm gonna have to put an asterisk before and after this to emphasize how important this asterisk is. This is a big ass asterisk. Big ass asterisk. Okay. When we talk about the divisions of the mind, the conscious, the subconscious, the superconscious, remember these are all you. The conscious, the superconscious, the unconscious, the double conscious, the infinite conscious, all these things are simply you. Simply you. What it do, Ty? What it do? All right, so let me talk about these. Think about your entire mind, right? Your entire mind is so divine, is so powerful that in order for us to understand it more, we have to separate it into these different sections, but it's all one. It's all one. All right. Think of these as just different functionalities of this one mind. So number one, you have the conscious mind, which is what you know. What you know. And because what you know is only based on the present, because what you hold yourself, who you declare yourself to be right now, not only impacts who you're being right now, but it impacts how you see the past and how you see the future. So based on who I am now versus who I was 2 years ago, right? I can't judge what I know based on what I knew 2 years ago. I was a completely different person there. It's a completely different version of me. Who I am right now dictates my conscious mind. This is the most important. This is represented by Adam in the biblical story. Adam is a representation of your conscious mind, Eve being the subconscious mind, right? Eve being that feminine energy, that subconscious mind that liberates man, that brings him his desire, that raises him into a higher consciousness, right? When we talk about biting of the fruit, right? Eve bit the fruit, then she brought it to Adam. What does this represent? This represents her allowing Adam to rise in consciousness, that feminine energy within you, allowing you to rise in your consciousness. The knowledge of life or good and evil is not a death sentence. It was a rising in consciousness, or it was a falling into duality. However you want to think about it, same thing. All right. So the conscious mind is what you know in this present moment. Okay. Number two, the subconscious mind. Right? We could say something like what you've forgotten, right? What you believe to be true, what you have held in such a pattern that it is damn near automatic. The thoughts that you frequent most, the thoughts that you visit most frequently, the subconscious mind. It's underneath, right? It's just under the awareness. It's still your mind. It's still one mind. It's just under your awareness. Now we have the unconscious. Right? What is the unconscious mind? The unconscious is what has been buried. Sometimes we'll talk about things like how humans have junk DNA. You don't necessarily have junk DNA. No DNA is worthless, but because of diet, because of the sun, because of where we are in the solar system, because remember the sun is just zooming around the galaxy, zooming around the solar system, and it's pulling all these planets with it, depending on what you believe, right? So based on where we are in the galaxy, certain genes also get flipped on and off, right? But you have this unconscious mind, which can be suppressed by programming of the world. Government suppresses it, right? And then you have the superconscious. The superconscious is the divine mind. This is the I am that I am. This is the mind that is not separate from anything. Pure consciousness, pure awareness, unimpacted, unaffected by anything going on, right? Even when you are lying and saying you're not worthy, your superconscious cannot abide by that, right? Angels often speak through the superconscious. Okay? The reminder of who you are, the signs you see. Angels often speak through the superconscious. This is the mind that always knows the truth. You've been worrying, am I on the right path? And you see a sign. You might call it an angel number, a synchronicity, right? You hear a song. Right? You get a feeling, somebody calls you and says the right thing at the right time. This is the superconscious, the one mind, right? Remember, all of it's just one mind. We're just talking about different functions of the same one mind. This superconscious uses whatever to communicate the truth of who you are. It's always giving you signs. All right? Demons. How do demons often rise through the subconscious? Demons often rise through the subconscious. That's why we can also say the subconscious is kind of like what you've forgotten. So That feeling when you see somebody, you haven't seen them in a while, and they're having a nice car. Let's say you get jealous. That jealousy is the demon showing you unhealed parts of you. You're saying, no, you're thinking about this wrong. Face me. What is this jealousy trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me that I don't believe that I could have something like that as well. Now I have to remind myself of the truth. Reminding myself of the truth is what? If I can perceive it, if I can see it in my awareness, in my consciousness, I can have it. Jealousy is pointless. It is really just me forgetting who I am. All right? Both are trying to get your attention. One calls you upward, right? The angel calls you upward, right? And the other pulls you inward. The demon pulls you inward. The angel pulls you upward. This is why we often think of heaven in the sky, the angels up there descending, right? The angels are meant, the ones within you are meant to pull you upward into a higher level of awareness. The demons are meant to make you go inward and question, why do I feel like this? What would I have to believe to be true to feel this way? Okay? And both serve your evolution. Cool. All right, so projection and personification. Why do we turn energies into beings? Why do we do that? Why do we turn energies into beings? Because it is easier to battle a monster. It is easier to cast the blame on the monster out there versus admitting that you are battling your own unmet needs. It's always easier. It's always easier. You know what I'm saying? Lack of accountability, that's simple. That's the easy path. Oh, the devil's busy today. No, you just busy today. That's you. It's a part of you that you have cast out that is busy today. All right? It is easier to pray for a winged figure than trust the still small voice inside. It is much easier to just go about my business and pray to something out there, see the battle going out there, than it is to actually trust the voice within me. Most of us have been completely removed from that voice within. The music cuts us off, the food cuts us off what they're spraying in the air, cuts us off the media, cuts us off the phone, cuts us off the job, cuts us off the school system, cuts us off. So it's very difficult for most people to sit in the stillness and actually go within themselves. To take true accountability and say, if I'm feeling this way, if I'm feeling like shit, what do I have to believe to be true? What do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? And no, it doesn't go against the no matter what. It does not go against the no matter what. You do these things to become a better person. You do these things to have a better human experience. You do these things to make yourself better, to evolve, because you're an ever evolving being. You have infinite versions of you within yourself. And so the one version of the one perspective that you are looking at right now is just one of the infinite, as you know. But because you can only look at life one at a time, right? You are still going to have certain things that come up in your consciousness that you have to work against. Does this impact your inherent worthiness? Absolutely not. Does this impact your alignment? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But suppressing these things can deny you the ability to have the life that you want. For instance, let me give an example. I can walk around believing I'm worthy no matter what, but I have all of these feelings or these demons within me of lack or judgment or jealousy that come up. And I'm thinking about that jealousy, and it's very difficult for me to hold that jealousy and also hold that I'm already in alignment and I'm worthy with everything everything that I want. So when we start doing this shadow work, we're not doing it to get something, right? You're doing it to ease your ego. You're doing it to remind yourself of the truth of who you are. You're doing it to remember that all of these feelings are against you. The one path, right? One of these paths is going down the cycle of I see these things within me that I don't like, and I just try to suppress it and push it away and just remind myself I'm worthy, but I'm just suppressing shit. And because I suppress it, it shows up more. It shows up stronger. All right. But the moment that I start going within and facing myself, holding that I'm still worthy no matter what, but then also facing these demons, facing these aspects of myself, right? Because none of it is out there. I just continue to face myself, continue to know I'm worthy. Now, it just adds another level to your evolution. Can you get everything that you want no matter what? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. But I also want you to have a high quality of life. Don't want you running around from your emotions. A lot of the problems that people face in this space, especially the people that I work with, right? People that I've seen like on message boards and stuff as well, is that we can say the no matter what part, right? But if we're constantly thinking that the battle is out there, we're not understanding that these are aspects of us, and we're externalizing, our pain and what we're feeling, and we're thinking that the war is everything out there. Well, it's like we're fighting this war on two fronts. I'm struggling with the external reality, trying to change it, thinking that it's wrong, thinking that it's not perfect. I'm struggling with my emotions, trying to change them, thinking that it's not perfect, when the truth is that it's all perfect and it's all just for me. It's all just highlighting parts of the story I've been telling. And as I confront that, I just get better at confronting it. I grow in consciousness. I grow in my awareness. Right? You can take two paths, right? Because I always talk about being conscious and awareness to get the life that you want. You can walk around conscious and aware that you are worthy and suppress everything that you feel and run away from it, or you can understand that you're worthy and be conscious and use everything, transmute everything, work on yourself with a clear understanding of what all of these feelings mean within you. Right? So hopefully that's clear. Right? So here's the truth. Okay. So what you do not integrate, you will externalize. You'll call it an enemy or a lover or a savior or a curse. But it was always a mirror, right? When we don't understand that these things are mirrors, these are aspects of ourselves trying to show us something, we could say that we're worthy. We can claim to be in alignment. We can claim that we're holding the vision and the affirmations or whatever technique you want to do, right? Because the technique doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, we can say that we're doing that. But if we are constantly calling things an enemy, if we're constantly saying this thing is, this opposite situation is trying to challenge me, or the devil's working, or the enemy's doing this, and we're constantly casting the blame out there and then declaring all of these things that must then show up, it makes the battle so much more difficult. So much more difficult. Right? So I want you to attack your life from a very conscious perspective, right? From a very conscious perspective. All right, so the spiritual and psychological are one. Some will ask, but are angels and demons real? But are they real, though? I get what you're saying, Ali, but are they real, though? And the answer is yes, but perhaps not in the way that you think. All right, so they are real as patterns. They are real as patterns, real as frequencies, real as intelligences that interact with your choices and your consciousness. Right? They are real as frequencies, real as intelligences that interact with your choices and your consciousness. They are real because you give them energy. You are not imagining them, you are co-creating them. Every time you choose fear, you feed the lower. Every time you choose love, you rise into the higher. This is not superstition, it is spiritual sovereignty, right? So what people mean when they say archangels are just each of the archangels, right? So if we think of the archangel's name, right, like Raphael, Michael, all those things, right? It means of God, right? And so the beginning of each archangel's name is a different aspect of God. If you remember when Jesus is affirming, right, he'll say, I am the truth, I am the way, I am the light. What each of these archangels represent is they represented a different aspect of the divine, the truth of the divine, the light, right? The sword, the all of these angels, they are all God. There's only one energy. There is one source. But when you call on certain angels or certain archangels, they're just you calling out different aspects of the Creator, of the One, of you. All right? So this is what an archangel is. It's just an aspect of God. But remember, there's only one energy. It's just a fractal of God. Right? Not separate from the whole at all, just representing a different aspect of the infinite divinity of the One. All right? So, all right, so you are not imagining them, you are co-creating them. Every time you choose fear, you feed the lower. Every time you choose love, you rise into the higher. This is not superstition, it is spiritual sovereignty. All right, so we're gonna talk about shadow work and spiritual warfare. All right, shadow work is not just psychological, it is sacred. Every hidden wound is a doorway. Every suppressed desire is a test. And every time you choose to see rather than suppress, you win a battle no one else sees. All right? So I want to say this. I don't want y'all to get confused, right? Because there's always people in the comments that have different opinions. You have to understand this, all right? Because I can say something, somebody can be like, not true. They can say something, I can say not true. But here it is, all right? There are always multiple dimensions of truth. I can already hear the pushback. There's only one truth, right? What is truth is what you perceive it to be. And you have to also understand what is the perspective that you are searching for, right? Are you looking at it from a historical perspective? From a perspective of, I just want to be able to vision what it means? Or do you want to understand it from a perspective of, this is how I can call on the archangels to help me in my life, right? So when we talk about this from a manifestation perspective, right? I will often say, we'll talk about, what if I don't believe something? How do I decrease something when I don't believe it? Well, now we have to remind ourselves of the truth of source. What is the truth of source? If I don't believe it, how do I say it? How do I make myself believe it? It is understanding that I am the truth, right? This is an aspect of source. So when we talk about an aspect of the divine, an archangel per se, whatever you want to call it, right? IL, right? Of God. So we have these different aspects of God, these different fractals. And so just by me declaring God, I am declaring that it is the truth, because that is an aspect of God. So if you want to say, how do I believe it? How do I believe it? Well, this is telling you don't have to. What you declare, God is the truth. I am the truth, right? That is God's name. So anytime you invoke God's name, I am, and you add whatever you want to the end, that is the truth. All right, so I am prosperity. You don't feel it, but you just declared it, and I am the truth. So that is the truth, right? So this is what Jesus was trying to say when he was invoking the name of source. Right? He was trying to tell you, I am the way. What if I do not see a way to get through what I am seeing? Well, I am the way. So you have to say it, I am prosperity. Declaring that I am prosperity is the way, right? We can look at it from it's some being in the sky and it's interconnected. Yeah, but that's not going to help you get the life that you want. All right. So understand what you are really saying when you are invoking the name of source, not from some historical perspective, but from an actual metaphysical perspective, invoking the power of the divine that is within you. All right. Don't let people try to pull you off the path and get you into this history type, debate. We are talking about something much deeper than that, all right? So shadow work is not just psychological, it is sacred, right? Shadow work is not just psychological, it is sacred. Every hidden wound is a doorway. Every suppressed desire is a test, okay? Every suppressed desire is a test. Think about that. Your suppressed desire, what would be an example? Just gave one, right? Jealousy is a suppressed desire. It's a test. It's calling you back to yourself. What would I have to believe to be true to feel this way? What would I have to believe to be true to feel this way? Well, if I'm jealous, that must mean that I don't think I can have it. I think that person's better than me. And I talk about spiritual ego all the time, right? This is what a lot of these parables in scripture are talking about. They're talking about spiritual ego. right? When somebody believes because that person works harder, they meditate more, they know scripture, they know this, or they say this, that makes them closer to source. No one can be closer to source than you because source is within you. So the moment you turn within, you are closer than anyone else to the divine. No one else is closer than you. Being the chosen, what does that mean? It means that you understand who you are. You are the one who declares you are, right? Let other people argue for their limitations. You are absolutely limitless and absolutely chosen, all right? So when I have this, what do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? If I feel jealousy, what do I have to believe to be true? I'm looking at myself as less than divine. I'm looking at myself like I can't have that, but I can have anything that's in my consciousness. I am worthy of everything in my consciousness. Everything. The only thing keeping me from the desires of my heart is I refuse to believe I'm already that person in alignment right now, which you are, no matter what. Right? So these things are just showing you where you have forgotten where you are. Jealousy shows you where you've forgotten where you are, who you are. Anxiety shows you, it's ungrounded energy. It shows you where you've forgotten who you are. Now, just because I look at anxiety and I say, okay, I've forgotten who I am, let me tell the real story. Does that mean that anxiety disappears in this moment? No. It might, but that's not necessarily what it means. However, it clearly tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not as a man feeleth in his heart, so is he. So we cannot let our emotions allow us to have an excuse to tell the story of who we are not. You are absolutely pure divinity. Absolutely pure divinity. Absolute perfection, absolute wholeness, absolute worthiness, absolute love. You are all that there is. All right? Let other people come in here with that bullshit, right? And tell you that you're less than you are. Start trying to make this some history class, man. We're talking about how to get the life that you deserve because you deserve every single thing that you want. Everything. All right? So this is what scripture meant by James 4:7. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. This is not talking about suppression. This is talking about embodiment, embodying the fullness of who you are. Stop casting out different parts of you and calling them evil, calling them less than divine. Right? Stop running from yourself. You are perfect. You are divinity. You don't run from shit. You don't run from things you see out there. You don't run from aspects of yourself because you are pure divinity. Pure divinity. Okay? The devil cannot stay where there is discernment. What does that mean? What does discernment mean in this case? The moment that I start looking at myself, everything is teaching me a lesson. I no longer run from the monsters. I no longer run from the monsters. I created them. I am the furnace in which they were forged. I no longer run from the monsters. I am the source. Right? And just by knowing that and looking at yourself in the mirror, looking at all of these emotions that bubble up within you, now you can tell the truth of who you are and you can allow them to fade away. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they must fade away. They must fade away because this is law. They are simply here to teach you a lesson. And when that lesson is done, when the teacher is done, it fades away. It fades away. When you are ready for the lesson, it's going to show up. And when you are done with the lesson, guess what? Your ass is going to graduate. And I'm going to be there clapping for you at your graduation. All right? Angels cannot land where there is ego. It's another one. It's another bar. Angels cannot land where there is ego. This is why when we're out here in the world, right, and we're trying to force our way through this, push our way through this, right? It's very difficult to see signs when we're in this position of always forcing. When does the sign come? You've been working your ass off and finally there's nothing else to do. And you're struggling to figure out what to do, and you have no choice but to sit down and take a break and just say, all right, shit, I don't know what to do next. And boom, here comes the sign when your ass finally relaxes. There's something poetic. There's something very divine about this. How that source within you always shows up right on time, right when you let go, right when you sit your ass down and get out of your own way. We've been striving for all of our lives, the 20 years, 30 years, some of you 40, 50 years, right? You've been striving this whole time, and still we don't have the life that we want. So what is the next option, right? Either you are going to cling to what you already know, or you are going to surrender to that source within you, to the God within you, that will take care of you far better than anyone ever has in your life. You know what I'm saying? With source, all things are possible. But men, as men, we have limitations. All right? So integration, alchemy of the soul. You don't defeat your demons by fighting them. Hear this. Hear this. You don't defeat your demons by fighting them. You transmute them. You're an alchemist. You're an alchemist. You don't defeat your demons by fighting them. You transmute them. You redeem them. You learn what they were trying to teach you. And I just want to ask y'all, are y'all clear on alchemy? Are y'all clear on transmuting? On what I mean when I say that? Because lately I've been breezing through it. Lately I've just been kind of like, alchemize, transmute, right? All right, one no is enough, all right? So let's go into alchemy and transmutation a little bit, all right? I appreciate the, I appreciate y'all jumping in. Thank you. So when we're talking about alchemy, right, what we are talking about from a historical perspective, what an alchemist represents is an alchemist is someone who would take base metals, lead, iron, random ass shit, base metals, and they would transform them into gold through a process, right? This is what alchemy is about. It's about taking ordinary things and it's about transforming them into something beautiful, right? Now that we know that, this is not just some process that people do in the world. What this actually means, right? Because remember, everything is a very deep level. Everything is actually a more spiritual level than the stories we've been told, right? We've been told the story of the tortoise and the hare, for example. All right, we're like, oh my God, how did this turtle whip the hare's ass? But the bigger story is patience. The bigger story is patience, right? We can also hear this story of alchemy. You can turn whatever into gold, but the biggest story is transmutation and alchemy. Now, let's use a common example, then I'm going to back up and I'm going to talk about this. Let's say that I just got broken up with, and it was a tough breakup, cheated on me, right? Basically told me I wasn't shit at the end and walked away. All right. In this moment, I'm going to be left with a bunch of emotions that I don't like. I'm going to feel down. I'm going to feel out. I'm going to feel a lot of different ways that do not feel good. Okay. But now I have to turn the base metals into gold. How do I do that? I understand the truth about all of my emotions, about every situation in my life, right? Because the truth will set you free, all right? The truth is that every single situation in my life is meant to give me clarity on what I really want, all right? So now I'm sitting here, and let's say I'm in my bedroom, you're in the bathroom, you just got out of the shower, you're crying. Natural human experiences, this is fine. But now you have two options, two primary options. You have more than two options. You have two primary options. Number one is you can sit and dwell in the pain. You can become bitter. You can say, man, men are like this, women are like this. And you say, man, I don't know. What do I have to do? What did I do wrong? I can sit, and in my mind, I can purely go through the situation over and over again, just replay it. Can pull myself down into more of a funk. Or I can get clarity on what I want. Okay? Now, what is the difference? Both of these scenarios start off the same, pain. Okay? But one path uses the pain to seek more pain. I simply go and I tell the story of what happened. This is what I did. I don't know what I did wrong. And I simply use that story to feel sorry for myself. Or I go down that path and I say, okay, what did I do wrong? This was that, this was that, this was that. And then I use that energy to tell the story in this present moment of the person that I am going to be. Let me rephrase that. I go down this path of seeing what I did wrong, what things were off, not running from those emotions, going in those emotions to show myself who I actually am. I use that pain to transform into a better version of me. Now, this is where I deviate. When I talk about alchemy, this is where I'm going to deviate off the love and the light and the rainbows and butterflies story. Right? Because a lot of alchemy is using darkness, quote unquote darkness. Right? A lot of it can be using darkness, right? Let's say that you sit there and then in your mind, you see the things, okay, I did this, I did that, could have done this better, could have did this better. And now all of a sudden you say, I can do that. Matter of fact, from this point forward, I'm going to do that. I am that person now. And now that pain turns into such a burning desire. That energy instantly transmutes and it fills me up with passion, right? It fills me up with passion. I imagine who I am right now. I'm no longer cheated on. I'm in the relationship of my dreams. Now I have more money, right? Because think about it. It doesn't just have to be because I went to a bad relationship. Now that energy transmutes into me thinking about a better relationship. It could be anything. Maybe I believe, I would have had more success with women if I had more money. Perhaps. It's up to you to make that story. It is up to you. There's no right or wrong path. There's no right or wrong path. All right? I could be all love and light, or I could not. In this moment when I'm going through this heartbreak, I can say, now I'm going to have so much money. I'm going to be so successful. I'm going to do content. I'm going to be so world renowned. Whatever you want to be, I'm going to drive this. And you put yourself, you use that energy to transform into the person that you want to be right now. This is turning base metals into gold. This is alchemy. This is alchemy. And so using darkness as in shadow work, no. Purely using darkness, purely using energy, right? When I'm saying darkness, I'm not really saying, I'm saying that we tend to want, when we think of alchemy from a traditional sense, we'll think of turning negative emotions, pain and sadness into happiness. I'm talking about even if you want to make it vengeance, whatever. Energy simply can be transformed into more energy, different energy. You either take that energy and allow it to pull you down this path of sorrow, or you use that energy to point it to whatever you want. This is why, if you've ever read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I believe. Is that it? Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. He talks about sexual transmutation. And he often talks about how the most successful men that you know are more sexed men. And what he means by sex doesn't necessarily mean have sex with a lot of people, but it means that they are men that have high sex drives. They have a lot of sexual energy. And often what sets them down the path of getting the things that they want is they're able to transmute that sexual energy. This is why you see retention being such a trend with men right now, because people are starting to tap into sexual energy. A lot of men, right, they might get hurt and all of a sudden they put all of their energy into success. They become businessmen, entrepreneurs. They rise to the top of their professions, right? Some of them do that. Why? To get sex. But sex drive is a very important aspect of male success. It's a very important aspect. Now, we can use all energy and point it towards whatever we want. Whatever we want. So another example of alchemy. Another example of alchemy is you're starting off your business right now, and you're putting out content, 0 views. You try to get people to work with you, rejected, ignored. And you feel slighted, you feel down and out. Part of you could just sit down and wallow in your sadness, just feel sorry for yourself. Another part of you could use that energy, could use that betrayal or that pain. And in this moment, you could imagine how all of these people are going to be begging to work for you. And you can put yourself in that state of mind right now. And you can use that energy and point it towards whatever you want. This is transmutation. Transmutation is the knowledge that no energy is void. No energy is useless. I do not care if it's sadness. I don't care if it's happiness. I don't care if it's anger. I don't care if it's sexual energy. I don't care if it's frustration. I don't care. I can point it towards what I want. How? However you want. However you want. Do you allow the stories to push you down the path of thinking more and more about what you don't want? Or do you allow the things that quote unquote don't feel good, the quote unquote negative things, to put you in the mindset of getting clarity on what you want? That is alchemy. That is alchemy. Then before I move on from that, does that help? Appreciate y'all. All right, cool. Good. I'm glad I stopped there because I was going to sure breeze through, and I was like, you know what? You ain't really talked about that much. All right. So you don't defeat your demons by fighting them. All right. You transmute them. You redeem them. Think about that in the case of alchemy, right? You redeem your quote unquote demons, just aspects of yourself. The quote unquote negative parts, the negative emotions that we feel, we redeem them. You learn what they were trying to teach you. Alchemy could be as simple as, I do not like this feeling. I refuse to be in this position again. How would I be if I was in the complete opposite position? If that feels good. That's the promise. That's what I'm working towards. That's what's unfolding for me, okay? So maybe the demon of lust was asking you to create. Maybe the demon of anger was asking you to say no. Maybe the demon of pride was asking you to stop betraying yourself just to be accepted. Right? What are these things trying to teach them? I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about that. So, right, I always thought I had to fight them, so I ran for myself. Let's talk about that. Because you know what's interesting? I want to talk about this from the perspective of lust, but it can be applied to so many things. Let's think about this from the perspective of lust. So it says here, maybe the demon of lust was asking you to create. All right. Now, what you'll see in this day and age is there's a lot of men that are practicing retention now. All right. That men are practicing retention. They're trying to retain their sexual energy. Now, let's actually talk about that, because it's one thing. Anybody that has done this, it is one thing to just sit around and not release. If you do not do anything else with that energy, what you'll find is going to be very difficult. All right? A week will pass. Turn into a fiend. Okay? One of the interesting things, if we look through society, right, is you can see the imbalance, because even if, let's say, structures like the church will talk about, they will talk about sexual discipline. Just keep it in your pants, right? Just don't have sex, right? They'll talk about that. But they won't actually tell you what to do with that energy, right? We have conversations online and people just scream out sexual discipline, right? But people aren't telling you what to do with that energy. So if you just suppress any kind of energy, what happens? It's going to make itself manifest, right? Yeah. Pray it away. Pray away the morning wood, my brother. All right? So if I just ignore my lust, my sexual desire, guess what? It doesn't go away. Ignoring it doesn't make it say, oh, okay, I'll just go away from you, right? It gets stronger. It gets stronger. It gets stronger until eventually it wants to be made manifest. But this is the same way with anger, okay? Somebody does something that pisses you off. Maybe you're just dating somebody. They do a little thing that pisses you off. You ignore it the first time. The second time, you ignore it again, but you're like, God damn. Now the third time, it annoys you even more. What does suppressing your anger do over time? Eventually, it manifests somehow. Y'all have a bad fight. You overreact later on, right? Your energy was never meant to be suppressed. Half of the conversation is always missing. When we talk about suppression of any energy, it's like torturing yourself. You're denying yourself who you are. Right? Instead of talking about even things like lust, like, oh, it's just bad, you have to put it away. Why don't we understand what your sexual energy really is? It's just creative energy. From a soul perspective, the most creative thing that you can do is, make a child. It's a very creative act. You create a new avatar by going inside of a woman. Beautiful. But you can also use that to create other things. If we talk about anger, right? Slow to anger. That's one half of this. That's one half of that. But now, if I'm slow to anger, right? If I'm feeling angry, what do I do with that anger? What do I do with that anger? Well, I have to face it. I have to understand. I have to purely ask the question that always helps me. The question that always helps me when I feel any kind of emotion I don't like is, what do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? And that answer might be related to source. It could be related to this person. Let's say this person does something that pisses me off today. What do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? Do I believe this person just doesn't care about me? All right? Let's say I feel lack, man. The bills are piling up and I'm feeling like shit. What do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? I believe money is difficult to get. Source doesn't provide. Asking these questions, I always talk about the 5 whys, right? When I used to work in tech, we had what was called a root cause analysis. When there were issues in the network, we would do a root cause analysis, an RCA. And one of the techniques was called the 5 whys. If there's a problem, you ask why 5 times, right? So you have a problem, something breaks. Okay, why did it break? Well, because this happened. Well, why did that happen? Because this happened. Typically, by the time you get to 5, or you can't answer anymore, you get to the root cause, you fix that. And when I'm saying fix, it's as simple as changing that belief right now. And then anytime that belief comes back up, you change it again and again and again until it's just part of who you are. That's it. All right? When we talk about this in terms of sexual energy, how do you move your sexual energy around? Well, we have to talk about how to manage that sexual energy. Are you just closing off your ability to release? Or are you adding other things in your life? If I know that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed, and that energy is going to constantly build, what else am I doing to use it? Am I working out? Am I doing more creative tasks? Am I working on a business more? Am I putting more energy on my work, spending more time with family, spending more time in nature, eating cleaner? What else am I doing to allow that energy to express itself? Right? What am I doing to allow the energy to express itself? So there's different ways to handle different emotions, but at the core of every emotion is remember that they're all for you. Okay? They're all for you. And it's not about how do you get rid of it or replace it. Let's put it like, how do you replace it? You do it moment by moment. Moment by moment. You give yourself grace. Here's the thing. Once you become aware of something new within you, or once you become aware of something that you want to change or a belief, awareness is the solution. We want to, and I think this is the natural human thing. And I go down this path all the time where it's like, I'll find something out about myself and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to change it. But I want to change it to a point where I just never feel sad again or never feel down again. Is that realistic? Maybe. Maybe not. But what is actually more realistic is knowing that I've walked through life and I have these blind spots, but now that I start doing this work, I start realizing aspects of myself. Okay, I start seeing aspects of myself. And so once I see it, once my awareness is on it, it's healed. The only thing for me to do is every time I become aware of that same pattern again, I simply change the story. Gracefully. I apologize to myself, right? This is why even in scripture, what did it say? How many times do I have to forgive my neighbor? 7 times 70. which translates to 490, which actually translates in the Hebrew to what? Infinity. How many times do I have to pick myself up, forgive myself, give myself grace? Infinity. What we think of consciousness, or we think of healing as if we're going to go down the path and then we're going to see something and change it, and then we're going to go back unconscious and this will be our normal state of being. Maybe, maybe not. But you've healed. Once you've noticed it, you're healed from it. You simply replace that thought with your awareness as you go through life, and you continue to see that same thing over again. Like, this is what consciousness is. Consciousness doesn't mean intelligence. Consciousness means consciousness. It means being present. It means being aware, right? Consciousness is likened to you've driven to work the same route every day for a year, and you've driven it so much that you've fallen asleep at the wheel. You don't know how you ended up in the parking lot. You just know you got there, right? There are times you just completely black out. You're just, oh shit, I'm here. All right, time to go to work, right? But when you are conscious, all kinds of thoughts are flowing. Or when you are unconscious, all kinds of thoughts are flowing. You don't know. And those things are running your life because you're affirming things with every thought. Okay, so now that you are conscious, the only thing conscious means is awareness. I no longer fall asleep on the drive to work. And of course, the drive to work is a metaphor. I no longer fall asleep when I see an unfavorable situation. I no longer just let my mind run for 38 minutes thinking about worst case scenarios, right? I no longer just let my mind run for 22 minutes cursing myself out, saying that I'm dumb, saying that I'm this. I no longer do that. I catch myself. Maybe the first time, where I used to go 22, now I only go 5. And then I become aware and I say, no, what? I forgive myself for that. I'm not any of those things. And the next time, let's say I go 10. Does that mean it's a step back? No. We tend to think of the journey like we're going up, and if we make a mistake, we go down, then we go back up. Really, the journey is always, it's always, this is the start, and there's no finish. You're always going here. So whether you feel like you're going up or down, you're always moving forward. You're always healing. You're always getting better. You're always getting better, right? So the key, when we talk about self-love, right? Not the inherent love that you are because you're source, but self-love. What self-love is equivalent to is giving yourself grace. That's what self-love is equivalent to, giving yourself grace. What's up? What it do? How many times are you going to pick yourself up? Well, even scripture says 70 times 70, infinite. As many times as it takes, forever and ever. You have to be your biggest fan. You have to be your biggest supporter. You have to love yourself more than anybody. You have to love yourself more than anybody. Right? This is what it means to continuously pick yourself up. Right? Maybe it'll never be easy where you just go around and automatically always think good thoughts about yourself. Perhaps that's not the case. Perhaps that is not the case. But you can always be conscious enough to catch you when you feel down and remind yourself the truth of who you are. You can always be conscious enough to do that. And that's all it takes, right? All it takes is you making the active decision, I will not go down that hole. And when you do it once, now all it takes is for you to do it again. And now all it takes is for you to do it again. The only thing that matters is what you're doing right now in this moment. What are you doing in this moment? Are you allowing yourself to beat yourself down? Or are you telling the truth of who you are? Damn, I'm almost done with my water. I got another one over there. What other questions y'all have, man? So, to summarize, man, I want to talk about that one more time because I think this was very powerful, right? I don't want us to confuse this with your inherent worthiness. The inherent worthiness that you possess because source is within you, because the divine is within you, right? But we talked about 3 aspects of you, of your consciousness. Number 1 are angels, right? The word angel means messenger, right? We talked about all of this from the truth of what it is. There's nothing out there. There's no out there. None of this is outside of you. These are all aspects of your consciousness, and they're all for you. whenever we were lied to and we were told that all these things were outside of us, it was very easy for us to think angel, demon, and think of one is good, one is bad. How could I see everything as for me if I've already externalized these things and thought of one is good and one is bad? This is the lie. This is part of the illusion. This is why separation is one of the biggest illusions we have been force-fed, not spoon-fed. We've been force-fed, okay? Angels, the word angel means messenger. It means messenger, all right? So they carry divine will. They transmit light. In every tradition, they appear not just with wings, but with what? Warnings, reminders, assignments. So anything that you see as a warning, as a reminder, as an assignment, what's a reminder? Sure, it could be an angel number. Sure, it could be you affirming something and a big ass truck drives by you and you see that flash on the truck. And you're like, oh shit, God is with me. It could be you asking for a sign and almost getting pecked to death by 10 blue jays that fly in a pack towards you. You're like, God damn, thank you. It could be whatever you deem it to be. But an angel is an aspect of you that is calling you what? It's calling you upward into faith. It's calling you upward, right? Angels call you upward. Demons call you inward. What is a demon? Okay, this word has been twisted. In ancient Greece, a daemon was a spirit god. Demon, spirit god. Demon, spirit god. Let's think about that. Demon, spirit god. What would be the correlation between the two? All right, but language changes and fear distorts. In psychological terms, demons are unintegrated shadow enemies. Energies, not enemies, energies. Okay, so let's give an example of a demon. Now, when we think of demons, when we think of Satan and the fall, right, it was cast out of heaven. What are demons? Unintegrated shadow energies. We've cast these aspects of ourselves out of us. The jealousy, right? It's an ugly trait within us, we say. We judge that trait. We cast it out. Okay? This is representative of the metaphorical fall. Everything happened within you, y'all. Everything happened within you. So what are some aspects that could be considered demons? Unhealed trauma, desire without direction, rage without reconciliation. Okay? But here's the truth. Since everything is for you, these things are not attacking you. They're asking you to face something. This is why when we talked about energy, when we were talking about things like semen retention, very important practice. If you are a man and you are not practicing retention, if you are not practicing retention, I would highly advise you to get on the trend for all kinds of reasons, physiological reasons. It's going to make you better with your woman reasons, right? It's going to make you look at women differently. It's going to heal it's going to heal all kinds of aspects of yourself that you might even know that you need to heal, that you might not even know you need to heal. Let me say that, all right? So every demon is a distorted need, a fractured part of you acting out because it wasn't seen, heard, and healed. All right? And then we also talked about archetypes, collections of thoughts. All right? The hero, the orphan, the lover, the this, the that, right? All of these are psychic blueprints. These are not to be worshipped, right? It's just like a horoscope. It's not to be worshipped. It's just showing you where you can transcend. It's going to show you some blind spots that you might be able to work on. But it's never going to be a prison. It's never meant to be a prison. The therapist telling you you are anxious, avoidant, right? And now you're like, oh my God, it's part of my personality. I can't be with this, can't be with that, right? It's never a prison sentence. It's just giving you an idea of what your infinite ass can transcend, because you are infinite. Okay. And then how long should you retire? I would recommend every man go at least 3 months. At least 3 months, bare minimum. At least 3 months, bare minimum. Right? And why I say that, because of the physiological process, okay? So let's talk about the physiological process. I love this topic. Let's talk about retention a little bit. Physiologically, what actually happens when you retain is for the first, it takes about 75 days for your sperm to be fully mature. After 75 days, they drop into your testicles. They stay there for about, so when I talk about semen retention means not releasing as a man, right? Not popping, okay? Is it just for men? Holding out shouldn't be just for men, but the actual concept of retention, yes. Yes, it is for men. Right. So after 75 days of holding, your sperm drops into your testicles. After another 15 or so days, 12 to 15, right, now your body actually goes in your testicles and starts to reuse your sperm, right? So why this 3 months? Because it's about a 90-day process for your body to get into homeostasis. As men, as human beings, one of your primary objectives is to pass on your DNA, to have children, okay? To pass on your genes. So if you're always releasing every 2 days, you're terrorizing your socks and your old t-shirts, now what's going to happen is your body's never in homeostasis. Your body goes into overdrive to replenish your sexual energy. It's always trying to replenish it, okay? Always trying to replenish it. So as it's doing that, what naturally happens is that it's going to strip energy from other parts of your body, all right? Strip energy from other parts of your body. And so what happens when you actually get on this journey is, let's say you go 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, because your body's always used to you making it rain, all over your bed sheets. What's actually going to happen is your body is going to still be overproducing. So you might start having wet dreams, right? You might be very high energy, feel a lot more frustrated because you have all of that energy within you, or you have all of that energy within you. But after 90 days, once your body goes through the full process, your sperm get fully mature, they drop it to your nuts, your body starts to actually break them down and recycle them through your body. Now you can actually get into homeostasis and you'll feel a more calm sexual energy. If you know, you know. One thing that I can say about going that 3 months, if you're a man, you've ever been that 3 months, that 90 days is something magical about it. You're gonna get all kinds of benefits throughout, but that 90-day mark, it's special. I would say the two main marks are, number one, 90 days, and then number two, if you're brave, is a year, 365 days. And in this process, what actually happens is there is a seed, right, that is actually released from your brain every month whenever the moon is in your sign. All right, so I'm a Scorpio. Whenever the moon is in Scorpio, there's a seed that is released in my brain. It's beautiful how the body just lines up to the universe as if it's intentional, right? It's crazy. So this seed is released, and then every 12 months or every 1 month, that seed raises. And if you get 12 full months, it can help you with your crown center. It can open you up to clairvoyance. It can open you up to clairsentience, all these beautiful traits that are already within you. The next mark is what? 12 years. The next mark is 12 years. Why 12 years? Right, because 12 years is supposed to get you to a extremely high level of consciousness. In certain Eastern cultures, as men, you are not supposed to release until you're 25. Why? Because the moment that you hit puberty, let's say around 13, 12, right, it's going to give you at least those 12 years of purity, 12 years of energy. I ain't made it 12 years neither, my brother, but I did do a year. I did a year 2 years ago. Incredible. Incredible. It will transform everything about you. It will transform the way you think, the way you speak, the way you look at women, the way you look at life, the way you value your energy. It will spiritually transform you in ways that you cannot expect. I know when I first started retention was when I really started waking up. And it wasn't until I really got deep in it where my dreams started transforming, right? I was able to start having dreams within dreams. And I started really not being able to tell the difference between dreams and reality for a while, right? Until I really started to become more and more conscious. But there are all kinds of spiritual benefits. Which part are women able to do effortlessly? I agree with you. I'm just asking which part. And then, or some type of it. What do you mean? Let me see. Homeostasis. Homeostasis just means your body's at equilibrium. It is in a healthy state. When your body is out of homeostasis, what is actually happening is your body will be pulling energy from other places. So you can think of homeostasis as just a healthy, balanced way that your body should be. right? It's a healthy, balanced way that your body should be, homeostasis, right? When I tell you, I would recommend every man go through some retention. Every man, every single man. And then also, so let's talk about retention on another level, because it's one practice to be on retention without a woman, right? But it's another practice to practice retention with a woman, okay? Because if you study the Tao, right, what actually happens is your sexual energy, whenever you lay with a woman that you actually care about, it has to be a woman that you care about, and she has to care about you. Has to be, for a whole bunch of spiritual reasons. The first reason spiritually is that when a man and woman lay together that don't care about each other, they can use each other's body to dump off spiritual energy. All right. Think about the nature of the womb and how cleansing the womb is, right? A woman is like the emotional or spiritual container of a home. So her friends vent to her, family vents to her, all right? Even if you think about the way that women hold on to energy. You ever told your woman something, it might not even be a big deal, but you tell her something and she's more worried about you than you're worried about you, right? And the next day she's asking you about it, you're like, oh, I was just giving you a heads up. It's cool, like it was no big deal. And finally she can kind of relax. A woman that cares about you, right? This is one of the beautiful things about women, is when women care about you, they hold on to a lot. They hold on to a lot of energy. And so we think of, remember, everything has spiritual and physical repercussions. We think of a woman's cycle as purely a physical cleansing, right? But it is a very spiritual cleansing as well. Because all of that energy you've held on to for months, right? The womb can eliminate that. Now, if the womb can do that, what do you think happens to you, my brother, when you slide into a woman who don't care about you? And that woman's womb, which is part of her, knows you don't care about her, right? You get that energy onto you, right? And ladies, you as well. You're not exempt from it. You get energy from a man. This is why sometimes, the sex can be great, but you can get up and you can feel less than yourself. So we have to practice extreme discernment with the people that we are with sexually. Extreme discernment, right? Because it is not safe. If I'm even having a conversation with somebody and a woman says that sex is not a spiritual thing, she doesn't see the spiritual aspect of sex, it's just a nut, I can't be there. We can't go further, right? Because for a lot of reasons. I just put it like that, for a lot of reasons. But be very, very careful about who you're laying down with. Now, when you lay down with the woman that you care about, what actually happens is your sexual energy transforms within you. It actually transforms into a substance called Jing, right? And this actually can become life force. And what it can do is it can regenerate your body. It can make you younger. It can heal you. Sex is a very healing act. One purpose of sex, one purpose of intercourse is to create a child. The other purpose is for manifestation. It is for healing, right? All kinds of things. So when we understand the depth of sex, then we become a lot more bougie with our sexual energy. Right. Did Neville talk about, did he talk about, I don't know if Neville talked about sexual energy. Let me think, I don't know many spiritual teachers that truly talk about sexual energy. I know Napoleon Hill talked about it very briefly, one little chapter, but he's not a spiritual teacher. Who teaches sexual energy? If y'all know anybody off the top of your head, I can't think of anybody who's a spiritual teacher that also incorporates sexual energy. Most of the people that talk about sexual energy, they talk about purely sexual energy. Neville did? Okay. Well, should I miss that then? I missed that. I missed that. Alan Watts. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Alan Watts. And Alan Watts, he's nicheless. My dog has no niche when it comes to spirituality. My dog just go off on whatever. He'll go off on whatever. Right. Because even the story of, I like that you said the Bible, right? Because when we read the Bible from a very literal sense, it does talk about sexuality in a sense, right? But the story of Jesus, metaphysically, one of the meanings of that story is a story of the raising or the sacred secretion, where even the age of Christ being 33 when he passed represents the 33 vertebrae in the body. Right? There's an oil that's secreted from a part of your brain called the claustrum. And the claustrum sounds just like Santa Claus, right? But this oil is called the chrism. Chrism meaning Christ. Chrism meaning Christ. And so whenever this chrism is secreted, what it does is it flows through or flows past the pineal and the pituitary gland. If your pineal gland is actually activated, this chrism or this oil is then transformed into this gold and white substance, which actually represents the land of milk and honey. Right? And so this oil actually plays a huge process or a huge role in the opening up of the crown center as well. Right? If you think about the nature of the pineal and the pituitary gland, right? The pineal gland, it swells up. It looks like a cobra's head when it swells up. And the pituitary gland is like a tongue underneath, right? And so when this energy all comes together and your pineal gland's open, the pituitary gland's active, it's as if the head swells like a cobra and then the tongue flickers like a cobra. This is why our ancestors always used the cobra. This is very important. All this symbolism was very, very important. This is why even if you look at the caduceus or the staff of Hermes, right? It is a staff. The top is a bead. The bead represents the pineal gland. The wings represent the crown center. And then those two serpents represent rising of energy, Kundalini energy, the Holy Spirit, the eternal flame, whatever you want to call it. All right. But it's going up both sides because it also represents masculine and feminine, positive and negative, right? The yin and the yang, this balance, right? The middle path. Another way that this is represented, if you think of the story of Moses, right? Moses carried the staff, meaning the staff was the power of source. One of the representations of this staff is, or the spine, the staff was actually meant to be the spine, right? It's a metaphorical representation of that energy rising up with your spine and getting you to enlightenment, getting you closer to source. All right. So all kinds of hidden symbolism in scripture, all kinds of hidden symbolism. All right. But I just veered all the way off, man. Let me go on and finish this, all right? Because we got a couple questions and we got some affirmations, all right? So reflection. Number one is going to be, what demons are you still blaming the world for? What demons, what aspects of your own consciousness, of ourself, are we still looking out at the external world and we're blaming the external world, right? We say, oh, the devil's been working. The devil is a lie. All right? The enemy's been working hard when it's just us who won't hold on to or who won't let go of aspects of ourselves. Okay, so what demons are you still blaming the world for? Number two, right? What angels have spoken to you and you've dismissed them as imagination? What angels have spoken to you and you dismissed them as imagination? That's a very interesting question. Okay? What angels have spoken to you and you dismissed them as imagination? All right, number three, which archetype is playing out in your life right now? All right, yeah, we can go over that question again. What angels have spoken to you and you dismissed them as imagination? Here's an example, right? Your imagination, you are the temple of God. You're the temple of the Holy Spirit. You're the temple of source. So whenever you go within your imagination, you are communing directly with Source. Okay? You shouldn't just be reverent when you walk into the church, into some building of man-made. You should be reverent anytime you go within yourself, because you are going within the temple. Now, what is the representation of the promised land? Are the desires of your heart, the things you desire, right? You have desires, and what those desires are really trying to show you is who you really are. They're giving you more clarity, more insight on the divinity within you. The divinity within you. The divinity that you are, right? So, how many times do we have this desire of extreme prosperity? Right? Remember, your desires are natural, or they're going to be specific to you. They're natural to you. Some people desire to be doctors, some don't. Some want to be lawyers, some want to be engineers, some want to just do this, some want to be millionaires, some want to just have enough, some want to live in the country, some want to live in the city, some want to live here. Your desires are specific to you. Your desires are showing you who you really are. So in our imagination, we often have these desires of our heart that show up and they give us a glimpse of who we are. And then we dismiss them as imagination. You just dismiss them as imagination, when these are divine promises. So what angels have spoken to you and you dismiss them as imagination? What things has God said, I want to experience through you? Has your higher self said, look, this is what we should be doing? And instead of you knowing that it's the truth, being like Abdullah, Neville's teacher, and saying, okay, I am that person already. And staying in the knowing that you are that person. I'm already in Barbados. Instead of us going to that point and knowing the truth of who we are, we make excuses. Well, I can't have prosperity because other people are poor. That's always a good excuse. I guess y'all can both be poor, right? You can't help them anyway if you don't have money, right? Just knowing that your heart is good like that, just knowing that you have the desire to help other people, that's already a beautiful aspect of you. So if you get the prosperity, then you can help them more. But thinking that you can't have something because somebody else doesn't have it, interesting, right? We deny ourselves our own prosperity with our limited thinking. And then on the other hand, we see other people with things and we get jealous and we think we can't have that either. So which one is it going to be, right? What angels have spoken to you, you dismiss them as imagination. Number three, which archetype is playing out in your life right now? When we talk about archetypes, we're talking about a collection of thoughts, collection of beliefs, right? Archetype of the victim, of the healer, the person who always has to be on this journey of healing, always on the hamster wheel of becoming, right? The hard worker. Now, keep in mind, none of these are inherently bad. Nothing is bad. Nothing is inherently bad. But what these are doing, what these archetypes, what your identity is trying to tell you, is trying to tell you what parts of yourself you are embodying and what things you are ignoring. Matter of fact, let me read the direct quote that I put here. Let me find it. All right. They show you which energy that you are embodying and which energy is missing. That's all an archetype does, a personality trait. What energy am I embodying and what am I missing? All right. So that was what archetype is playing out in your life right now. How do you want to expand? How do you want to expand? And then number 4, who would you be if you stopped running from the war inside? Who would you be if you stopped running from the war inside? If you stopped running from your emotions, from your sadness, from your jealousy, from that feeling of being betrayed, from that feeling of being heartbroken, who would you be if you became the alchemist? If you started transmuting them? Who would you be? Right? If you understood the truth that everything that you did not prefer was just giving you clarity on what you wanted. True alchemy. True alchemy. True alchemy. It ain't just love and light now. It's not just love and light, right? We don't embrace just love and light, right? It's when you feel wronged and you say, I am going to shit on everybody. That's alchemy too. That's alchemy too. It's all alchemy. It's all alchemy, right? All right. So in conclusion, all right, you are the temple, you are the battlefield, and you are the bridge. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to become whole. You are here to remember that you are already whole, okay? You are not here to be perfect. You are here to remember that you are already whole. You are not here to avoid demons. You are here to remember them or redeem them. Damn, it's been a day, okay? You are not here to worship angels. You are here to embody what they represent, because you are the meeting point of heaven and hell. You are the intersection between divinity and identity. Everything is within you. These are aspects of you. They're all here to help you. Nothing is here to hurt you. Nothing is here to push you down, okay? And in every moment, you choose which world you give life to, okay? So one of the quotes from the inscription at the Temple of Apollo, know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and the gods, because it's all within you. Know yourself and thou shalt know the universe and the gods, right? And so it is. All right, so I have a couple affirmations. We can do questions for a second, and then I can jump into the affirmations, and we can end this. So if y'all have anything you want to talk about, let your boy know. Let your boy know. Why do words hurt? Words hurt because we are humans, right? We're humans and we are not void of emotions. So, yeah, certain things feel good, certain things feel bad, but that is part of the human experience. The truth is that none of it is really negative. What is actually hurting us is our interpretation of it. We can say that people hurt us, sure. I mean, that's a real experience. It's an absolute real experience. But the truth is that we are the ones who give everybody permission to hurt us. We are the ones who attach to something and we allow it to not just hurt us for that moment, but to hurt us for the next week and the next month and the next year. We are the ones. That person isn't walking through life with us. We are the ones that are holding on to that thing, right? We are the ones. And then, which Bible? I wouldn't even say a certain Bible, to be honest. I wouldn't say a certain Bible. But I would absolutely tell you that whatever spiritual text, whatever scripture you're called to read, that's what you should read. That's what you should read, right? If you're called to anything, that's what you should. We all, my bad, y'all. It's my mom. All right, my bad, y'all. That's my mom. All right, but here we go. Any spiritual text, I'm not going to discriminate and say that you should go with one over the other. Who would I be to say that, right? Whatever brings you closer to an understanding of who you are and the source within you, that's what you should do. Right? Some people are going to resonate more with the Quran or with the Bible or with the Torah or with this or with that or with the Emerald Tablets. I don't care what you read. I don't care if you read a book by Neville Goddard. If you are called to something, go ahead and read it. I know a lot of people pick up King James, but really, when we get into just studying like semantics and the history, I think that's one way to read it, but I don't read it from that perspective anymore. More so from a metaphysical sense, and with that insight, I find less need to look for a specific version of the Bible. I use many different interpretations, even in these lectures, right? Sometimes I use King James, sometimes I use whatever pops up first. And the spiritual meaning of a jaguar, I mean, whatever you want it to mean, right? I know that in some cultures it represents like the divine masculine. Some cultures it can represent like transformation, protection. But keep in mind, right, the same way that every single country has a different freaking spiritual animal or an animal that represents them. You come to the States and we talk about a bald eagle, right? Does that mean that that is the universal meaning of an eagle? Is it the protector of the United States? No. All right, so what these things mean is what is the meaning that you give them. Perhaps this is an animal that's visited you. Perhaps this is an animal that you've had a relation or an intimate relationship with in a vision, or it's shown up to you multiple times, and that's a calling for you to go down the path of figuring that out. All right, but two animals can mean completely different things to do two different people. I'll tell you what animal is very, very precious and very, very important to me are blue jays. Now, if I read that in spiritual text, it could tell me all kinds of shit. I don't really care what it says, but I know the meaning that it has to me. So even when we think of things like angel numbers, right? 333, 777, 222, 111, whatever you want to say, we'll see those things and then we'll go run down the path of Googling what somebody else's meaning of it is. And you can read seven different interpretations of the same thing. Which one is right? Which one is the truth? Which one is more meaningful, right? The truth is it has meaning to you, right? Spirit is showing you that thing. Exactly. Whatever it means to you when it shows up, right? This is why, and I wouldn't rely on anybody to interpret what numbers. That's why, even if y'all ask me, I'm seeing the questions. I'll be ignoring them on purpose because Spirit's going to talk to you in a certain way that Spirit needs to communicate with you. That's a private conversation, right? We're not having a threesome, all right? This is a very private one-on-one conversation. So use your discernment, go within and try to figure out what is Source trying to speak to me through this thing? What is the message that I need to pull from this? All right? And then allow that to be your guidance system. And the jaguar has always been known as a powerful animal, so it's a good animal to go down the path. But if I said that about a blue jay, I'm sure nobody would be like, oh my God, a powerful animal. Blue jay, wow, Alex. But to me, they're extremely special. They always show up for me at the right time. In the down part of my life, I saw them every day. In a down part of my life, I went to run like stadiums at this high school whenever I was living in Monroe, Louisiana. And every day I went there, a blue jay came and landed right there. And even today, I still ask for signs sometimes, and I still get blue jays. Still get blue jays that show up. I'm not talking about show up like the next day. I'm talking about show up like quickly. All right, y'all, I got some affirmations for y'all. I got some bangers today. All right, so it's a beautiful Friday. It's a beautiful Friday. Gonna sit back, gonna relax before you start turning up tonight. Gonna hear these affirmations. I'll probably be back on tonight, to be honest. Ain't really got shit to do. Probably go work out and then get right back on here. All right. See how divine you are? The Blue Jays and the red Cardinals. Right? I see you. All right, go and feel these, all right? Remember that you already are all of these affirmations. I'm not telling you anything new about yourself. None of this is new, okay? Here we go. Number 1, I am not ruled. I am not ruled by what hides in the dark. I illuminate the dark and rise in truth. I meet my shadow not with fear, but with sacred fire. Okay, feel that. Every demon I face is a part of me forgotten. I reclaim it with compassion and command. Nothing within me is beyond redemption. Nothing within you is beyond redemption. Do you feel that? Do you hear that? Next up, I walk with angels, not only above me, but within me. I am the message and the messenger. Yes, you are. Yes, I am. All right. I choose presence over possession. No energy owns me unless I consent to forget who I am. Let me rewind that one. I choose presence over possession. No energy owns me unless I consent to forget who I am. I reclaim my mind, I embody my soul, and I guard my divinity with grace. Let's go a step further. I reclaim my mind, I embody my soul, and I guard my divinity with grace and ferocity. I guard my divinity with grace and ferocity. All right. I no longer battle for control. I surrender into conscious creation where all things align with love. Even my chaos bends to the current of divine intelligence within me. I'm the alchemist. I'm pure alchemy. I am pure alchemy. I do not demonize my pain. I listen, I learn, I transmute. The wound is not my identity, but a womb of my wisdom. I gotta go back one more time. Not to that one, but the one before it, because I was still feeling that one. All right? I no longer battle for control. I no longer battle for control. I don't need it. I simply control my perception, and with that, all things are added unto me. Seek ye first the kingdom. All right? I no longer battle for control. I surrender into conscious creation, where all things align with love. Even my chaos bends to the current of divine intelligence within me. Yeah. I like that. All right. Here we go again. Here's the next two. We got two more. You know what I'm saying? Where I once fragmented, I now unify. Where I once feared, I now form. Where I once ran, I now reign. That's another one for a little double time, right? Where I once fragmented, where I once broke, I now unify. Where I once feared, where I once was scared, where I once let the external circumstance define me, I now form my own story. I now formulate the truth of who I am. Where I once ran, I now reign. You are infinite intelligence. You are source. You are divinity. And last but certainly not least, I do not suppress the storm. I am the stillness that transforms it. I am that I am. I do not fear the battle. I am the bridge between the shadow and light, between the human and the holy. Hey, that was a bar. That was a bar right there. All right? Let me say that one more time. I don't think y'all caught that. I do not suppress the storm. I am the stillness that transforms it. I do not fear the battle. I am the bridge between shadow and light, between the human and holy. You are the intersection between divinity and identity. You are the intersection between divinity and identity. It is you. It is you. Show ass. Right? Feel these. Know that you already are those things. You're not becoming shit. How can you become what you were born as? You're just remembering who you really are. Dropping the illusion. All right? And rising into the beauty of this new timeline. Ooh-wee. That was good. All right, y'all. Man, I appreciate y'all's time as always. I always appreciate these discussions. I appreciate y'all's questions. Hell, I appreciate the pushbacks. I appreciate all of it. All right, we're all in this together. We are all in this together. You deserve everything. You deserve everything. Everything. Okay? It is all working out for you. All working out for you. All right, I see you all as perfect, as absolutely divine, as everything is working out perfectly for you, and I see all of you as nothing less. Everything. The cars, the love, the relationships, you know what I'm saying? The money, the experiences, the travel, you deserve it all. You deserve it all. All right, I see you as nothing less. All right, y'all have a beautiful, beautiful couple hours. If we talk again later on, we do. If not, talk to y'all again tomorrow, God willing. All right, peace.